My name's Christine Newman Ortiz. I'm the executive director of Voces de la Frontera. And one of the things I think that is a positive outcome of what the tragedy that we're witnessing around us and that is at our, here in Wisconsin as well, with these persecution, profiling, detention, separation of families, all of this fear and persecution that is being created. One of the, I think, bright spots is the fact that is the community response. And there is a saying now embraced, right, in the movement, which is El pueblo salva al pueblo, which is in English, the people save the people. And so there's a very clear understanding about the urgency to build community, to support each other, to stand in solidarity with each other. And what happened in these last two incidents in Madison and Manitowoc really shows the power that has been built through the Community Defense Network since the last elections. So the three components of that Voces helped build out, and this is something that involves organizations, members, individuals, is a Know Your Rights component, Train the Trainer component, the ICE hotline, which was just mentioned, where everything's getting centralized if ICE activity is being witnessed or seen, which is the 1-800-427-0213 number. Trained volunteers are picking up that number and responding to it, and then we're building out where we can. I was just mentioned the next step in Manitowoc is to build out the third component, which is called like Migra Watch or ICE Watch, which is trained individuals who can go out and actually verify what's happening on the ground and document what's happening for potential litigation, connect with families to try to meet their needs, as we are doing in Madison and Manitowoc right now, to connecting them to legal services and mutual aid, right? And I think some of the lessons learned just recently from Manitowoc and Madison, is that we see ICE moving very quickly to deport people. We see, for example, in the case of Manitowoc, this narrative that is trying to be pushed without any basis of trying to paint a negative image of an entire community, right? Saying, oh, we're going after these 24 people to break up a ring. As it turns out, one person had a charge that was in ICE custody at the time, and everybody else, doesn't have charges or minor, minor charges. So it's this narrative, and it does take a little bit of time because we get to those answers and challenge those lies, through connecting with the family and through connecting with legal support. But they are moving quickly. So it really, we know now that 3 of the 6 workers in Manitowoc have already been deported, and another one has been moved to the detention center outside of Wisconsin. And the important thing is it emphasizes the importance of the Know Your Rights component, because even if you have, as in the case of one of the fathers, an order of deportation, which means things are gonna, they're gonna move faster for you. If you have been here for years, as these workers have been, the ones that we've connected with, that connected with us, they come from mixed immigration status families, so they have someone can have a spouse that's a U.S. citizen, children that are U.S. citizens, good moral character, essential workers, and if you've been here for many years, as they have been, you can fight your deportation. But people need to know that and not be tricked or conned into signing voluntary departures, as we are witnessing as a kind of standard ICE protocol. The other thing was mentioned earlier, prepping ahead of time. So the family preparedness plans, the Know Your Rights, all of that. What's going to happen to your kids, the minors, right? All of this has to be done ahead of time. And we need more volunteers. So all of this network is through volunteers. And so we have 1,200 volunteers right now, 21,000 people who've received Know Your Rights trainings across the state of Wisconsin. But we need more people to make sure that the due process rights are being respected and we can fight back against family separation. So that's an invitation for people to get these trainings, but to also volunteer to build out this network in your community. In the case of Madison, of the 7 construction workers, we know that they were targeting one person. And again, it's just this larger, they're just grabbing who was there, right, in the home with them. And in both these cases, these are essential workers. They are these policies are disrupting our labor force. They are creating trauma for families and communities. And we're grateful to be here today because I think the answer is we don't want this in any community in Wisconsin or in any part of this country. We need immigration reform, and we do not want collaborations with local law enforcement and ICE. We do not want people who are going to put a bounty on people and treat them in a dehumanizing way and promote that kind of thinking or actions against others. So we stand together as one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Alderwoman Marina Dmitrievich. Just came out of our finance and budget hearing today, but I wanted to make sure I spoke strongly but briefly. Christine Newman-Ortiz talked about the families that were separated in Manitowoc. Could you imagine that woman, that mother, that wife that went out to the truck that her husband was going out to work for that day, a long, hard day of work, didn't see her husband but saw the lunch that she had packed for him? Let's think about that for a second. We've actually been thinking about this for a while in the city of Milwaukee, even though it's painful to think about. Let's continue to take that pain and not necessarily live in fear, but live prepared. We are prepared. We're prepared to continue to be united, to be empowered, and to have the information and know our rights. What would it look like if we all commit today, as we have many wonderful people here, to talk to and help train another 10 or 15 people to be sure that they know their rights and their loved ones do too? This is the way that we're going to fight so much darkness with light, and with love, and with unity. We are not backing down. We are stepping up. We are stepping up our unity, our work, our organizing, and our power. Our power is knowing what our rights are, and we will not stop fighting for that. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Roberta Clark, the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Relations Council of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. Members of the immigrant communities are our cherished family, friends, and neighbors. These community members add great value to our quality of life and have a right to live lives which allow them and their families to be safe, to work, to contribute their knowledge and skills to our society. We know how hatred works. It begins with thoughts dehumanizing the other. It all too often grows to hateful words. And in our current world, it too frequently grows to hateful actions. So let's talk about thoughts and words. When we are referring to someone who is in this country undocumented, let's use that word, undocumented. Far too often we hear the phrase illegal alien. Let me be clear. No human being is either illegal or alien. We are each human beings deserving of dignity and respect. If someone engages in illegal actions, the actions are illegal, not the human being. To support inhumane treatment of members of our community because of their immutable characteristics is not only hateful, but it is un-American. Jewish history, like the histories of the communities that form our rich tapestry of our community and our nation, calls us to uphold a legal immigration system based on the rule of law, national interest, and compassion. The JCRC of the Milwaukee Jewish Federation stands firmly for compassionate immigration policies. We advocate for a system that provides fair and systematic path to citizenship, that upholds family unity, that protects the dignity and civil liberties for all individuals. Today, we focus on the urgent need for our government and communities to promote reasoned, firm immigration policies that enhance homeland security without stigmatizing immigrants or infringing on civil rights. We oppose expansions of immigration enforcement authority to state and local officials that lack proper safeguards, and we support asylum protection for individuals fleeing persecution. Many of you heard me say this before, whether you identify with any faith tradition or no faith tradition, whether you identify with any political party or no political party, one truth remains. Every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. We are called, every single one of us, to ensure that principle is upheld for ourselves, our neighbors, and for all who seek and deserve safety belonging in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Good afternoon. I'm Alderperson Jocasta Zamaripa. Thank you for joining us today for this urgent press event to share information with neighbors across the city of Milwaukee. We know that just yesterday, several individuals were arrested in Madison as part of an immigration and customs enforcement operation, and this comes on the heels of additional ICE arrests in Manitowoc County, as you heard from Jennifer. ICE activity in our communities is creating fear, and that has no place in a state built by immigrants. Milwaukee is a welcoming city, and we will not let fear divide nor silence our neighbors. We want to remind our residents in these instances that they have rights and should be prepared. We urge everyone to know their rights, no matter what your status is. Remember, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right not to sign any document you do not understand. You have the right not to open the door. In the event of an arrest or detention, you have the right to request a lawyer. Additionally, I want to remind folks to utilize virtual and online options for appointments when available. I stand with Voces de la Frontera and Forward Latino and via CDC and Milwaukee Jewish Federation and Milwaukee Turners and the League of Women Voters and Milwaukee Labor Council, and I hope I got everybody. Micah's here. I stand with all of these organizations as they are working to ensure immigrant families are informed, protected, and treated with dignity. Finally, I want to remind the people of Milwaukee and the people of the great state of Wisconsin that immigrants are essential to Wisconsin's economy, especially in agriculture, hospitality, and tourism. They add to the rich fabric of our history, whether they are the Latino, Muslim, and Asian immigrants of today, or the Polish and German immigrants that built this beloved state that we love. And brevemente, I just have something bilingual that I want to put out there as well. I know Telemundo is here. Buenas tardes, soy la concejala Jocasta Zamaripa. La actividad del ICE en nuestras comunidades está generando miedo y eso no tiene cabida en un estado construido por inmigrantes. Milwaukee es una ciudad acogedora. No permitiremos que el miedo divida ni silencie a nuestros vecinos. Queremos recordarles a nuestra gente que en estos casos tienen derechos y deben estar preparados. Es tan importante a todos a conocer sus derechos, sin importar su estatus migratorio. Usted tiene derecho a guardar silencio. Tiene derecho a no firmar ningún documento que no comprenda. Tiene derecho a no abrir la puerta. En caso de arresto o detención, tiene derecho a solicitar un abogado. Además, quiero recordarles que usan opciones virtuales en línea para sus citas cuando están disponibles. Yo apoyo a Voces de la Frontera y Forward Latino para garantizar que las familias inmigrantes están informadas, protegidas y tratadas con dignidad. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers. A couple of points I just want to close with. Number one, this nation was promised at its onset that immigration enforcement was going to be targeted the criminal undocumented individual. Those individuals who committed violent crimes or have been proven guilty of selling narcotics, etc. All of us now know that is not the case. The overwhelming number of undocumented immigrants who've been detained or deported have no criminal record. No criminal record. And let me remind you of one other thing. In and of itself, it is not a crime to be undocumented in the United States. It's a civil violation. Like the civil violation I'm going to get when my parking meter expires and I get a parking ticket, right? It's that minor. And why is it that way? Per statute, per act of Congress. It is not a crime to be undocumented in the United States. So those who try to convince you that it is, they're lying to you. You want to know what is a crime? Being undocumented in the United States, working and not paying your taxes. For anyone who doesn't believe undocumented immigrants don't pay taxes, I encourage you to call the IRS helpline. Tell them you know someone's undocumented and how are they supposed to pay taxes, and they will walk you through the process Congress ordered them to set up to ensure that the undocumented paid their taxes. Lastly, I just want to thank His Holiness, the Pope, for his remarks that he made yesterday. And forgive me for paraphrasing here. No one can say they're pro-life and sit by and watch the inhumane treatment being perpetrated on our immigrant community by our federal government. Thank you all for coming out once today. Greatly appreciated. We'll now open up the floor to questions from accredited members of the media. Questions?
Daryl, I wondered if you could just tell me what your days are like the last few days as you've been getting calls in and working with Jennifer and making, making verifications and all this. What's your last few days been like?
I'll speak for me, and then Christina, I'll invite you to make remarks too. It's been incredibly challenging. We're getting calls at all hours from individuals who've been separated from their loved ones, which is quite an emotional experience. Trying to find where they're at, get the facts around it, verify everything, connect them with legal representation, etc. It's exhausting. I'll say this, and they proudly admitted this. Not only are they detaining immigrants, but they're intentionally moving them to other locations throughout the country so they won't have ready access and support of their family and local attorneys. That is something that's being intentionally done and has been admitted to by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I'll also share that we have a confirmed report now that in Texas they've actually detained individuals here lawfully with visas and threatened them to the point to where they agreed to be deported. So once again, this isn't just about going after the undocumented criminal. This is about going after everyone who looks a certain way, sounds a different way, speaks a different way. And we see that time and time again because this is being perpetrated on U.S. citizens of Hispanic descent as well. Did you want to add anything to that, Christine?
Yeah. I mean, just, I think the statewide community defense network is working well because we're able to quickly through that, especially that 1-800 number and raising awareness about it, and the trainings on Know Your Rights, be able to quickly identify a situation, corroborate it, and connect with people. I know in the immediate aftermath, there were like farmers communicating with each other through just because of the work that's being done kind of day in and day out around dealing with this persecution of immigrants and the many ways and the lives it touches. It is a reminder that we need to scale it up even more so that people are not tricked into giving up their rights. So we do need to continue to expand that program is the only thing I'd say, but that program is working here and across the country.
I have a quick question, if that's right. Maybe this is more for you, Christine, but I wondered if either of you have been documenting what you consider overreaches from ICE, and if you're planning any kind of legal action or anything in those regards in the state of Wisconsin?
Yeah, I know the documentation part is very important and people willing to come forward. So I know that, like for example, and part of the documentation is just corroborating if, you know, it's real. So we did have documentation that was, you know, taken by someone locally and then shared, you know, that of what was happening. But you know, I think some of the footage, for example, that I've seen, and that's just maybe through people's personal video cameras around their home, around, you know, inside and around their home. I think one thing that's very disturbing is, for example, an image of, you know, a father who, you know, where they barged into the home again, treating it as if this were some, you know, cartel operation when this is a working class family, and you know, and it's very disturbing. Or a father who was taking out his garbage and then this unmarked vehicle pulls up and, you know, grabs him and pushes him in the vehicle. And it's just, you know, that's disturbing. That's very, very disturbing. We haven't like pushed, you know, shared that. We are thoughtful, and because we also want to make sure, no, I mean, right now that's legal, you know, so right now that's, you know, that's legal, which is why it's important to, like, in terms of like someone being apprehended by people who are masked, not identifying themselves, just pulling up, which is why I think, you know, we have some state legislation that has been introduced called Keeping Families Together, which would make it mandatory in the state of Wisconsin that ICE agents have to identify themselves, their name, their agency, their badge. Only under rare circumstances could they be unmasked. That also guarantees the judicial warrant standard across the state of Wisconsin with local law enforcement, brings back protections. So this is the kind of thing that we think, this is not just the defensive part, but how are we expanding our rights, whether that's accountability and transparency with local sheriffs or chiefs of police to not enter into these agreements to essentially function like bounty hunters, and you know, or and advancing these good policies as well at the state level.
Let me answer your question in two parts, and I'm going to be abbreviated in both. Number one, I was literally on the phone when an individual, an immigrant who was detained, who had no criminal history, was on the phone with a significant other and was with the ICE official in detention. And that ICE representative was literally screaming at the detained immigrant, saying he needed to sign that self-deportation order. And we were very loudly instructing him not to do it because it's his right not to, and that they had to allow him to talk to his immigration attorney. That's happening on a daily basis. The violation of constitutional rights are happening right now on a daily basis. That's just one of many examples we have. With regard to the second part of your question, you'll know more about that probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
For what I've seen posted on Facebook earlier today, that ICE is looking for what can you say about it?
Puedes decirlo otra vez? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, for what I've seen posted on Facebook earlier today.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So, yeah. So there have been numerous reports stating that ICE has put out an urgent request to expand their physical presence with building space here in the city of Milwaukee, and that it had to meet strict security and law enforcement type requirements. We're working with city officials on that to follow that very closely. We're also aware of some other things that are happening, but we're not at liberty to share those publicly, but we will have more to say about that in the coming days and weeks. Any other questions?
Yeah, there are 13 separate sheriff offices across the state that have working agreements with ICE, some have been in place since 2020. Do you have a position on these agreements, and do you have any specific concerns about how those agreements are being utilized?
Yeah, so there's, it's called the 287G program, and there's a couple of different implementations of it. I know that we stand firmly against that. Whenever you have special relationships between a federal enforcement agency like ICE and local law enforcement, it does not improve public safety. Everyone needs to feel free to call law enforcement if they're being victimized, if they've been a victim of a crime, if they're a victim of domestic abuse, or even if they see their neighbor's house on fire. We want those individuals dialing 911 and calling in. So we stand firmly against that. I can share with you that we've been engaged with several departments that were looking at engaging with that, but have held off. We're hoping to continue that streak, although sadly we know there's some others that have recently signed the agreement. But yeah, we're no proponent of it. We believe that public safety is best served when everybody feels it is safe and lawful to contact law enforcement. I'm also going to take a brief moment to say, if you live in the city of Milwaukee, it is safe to dial 911. Si vives en la ciudad de Milwaukee, estás seguro para llamar a 911 si estás teniendo un problema. I can tell you we've received reports of people who are having serious medical conditions and have refused paramedic care because they were so afraid of what might happen. Once again, this is happening every day. Christine, did you want to say anything else about 287G?
I just think that we're seeing it go on steroids now. I mean, there's like bad news and good news. And the bad news is that with this national budget bill, part of it is, apart from taking tax breaks for billionaires, it also is putting and then cutting it from Medicaid, education, and food stamps. SNAP, the program SNAP, it's, putting that money, $170 billion, into immigration enforcement. And a big chunk of that is also going specifically to incentivize localities from joining this program. So just recently in Palmyra, Wisconsin, the chief of police there entered, though there is right now there's a community response to like slow the train down before entering into this, but where they're now, offering $100,000 to enter into an agreement and $7,500 for every person that is undocumented. That does not promote public safety. First of all, we are taking food away from, hungry kids. We are taking away resources from schools. We are taking away medical care from people to do what? That does not promote public safety. And so that's something, the good side, I guess I would say, is that we've seen that at a local level, when community organizes, especially at a county or city level, to push back on this, that they're actually able to force sheriffs to get rid of the agreement that they signed. These agreements are being signed behind closed doors. ICE is lobbying very hard, consistently with them, to pressure them to join these agreements. And what we're seeing is, like in Ozaukee County, they had signed it, they've now removed it because of community pressure, transparency, and accountability, as well in Walworth County. And there's pressure now in like Grant County, Kewaunee, and Palmyra, the village of Palmyra, to not enter. So we're encouraging every local community to talk to your sheriff, talk to your chief of police, talk to your mayor and your elected officials to say, we don't want this in our community. That's not how we build a community, not off the backs of separating families.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. So I got a question with regards to Know Your Rights training, as well as how we're verifying that things are happening. And I'll speak from Forward Latino's perspective, and then Christine, you're welcome to make remarks as well. So we have a very strict protocol we follow. In the early days of this enforcement action, we were getting flooded with false reports from individuals that were looking to create fear in the community. So we have a strict protocol, the number of people that need to report, video and photographic evidence. We go so far as to geolocating it with the weather of the day, etc., to make sure everything is correct before we even put it out there. With regards to Know Your Rights training, it's something we're doing in English and Spanish, and we can accommodate in other languages, whether it be Hmong or any other language that is needed. We're going to take them through Know Your Rights, everything they need to be doing in advance if they're a family at risk of separation, but most importantly, and we touched on this earlier, and I want to thank all the attorneys. We have a team of attorneys that are just donating their time to do this. They're walking through powers of attorney for property and finance, so that if somebody does get detained and deported, they do not lose, everything they've worked so hard to gain. Number two, and equally important, if not more so, power of attorney for the delegation of parental power. Last time we saw huge immigration enforcement, we had students left at schools being taken home by teachers because mom and dad were no longer here. We don't want to see that happen anymore. So our attorneys walk them through those power of attorney documents to make sure that a loving individual who's responsible can take lawful and temporary custody of the child and make those urgent and important decisions that must be made. So, did you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I guess with the verifier trainings, it makes sure that it's people who we also are not hot-headed people who are going to be able to receive the training and make sure that when they go out into the community, as we usually have more than one person to go out there, that they've been trained up on how to document a situation from the phone, not post it, and to be able to ask questions, how to kind of document in real time as you're going through this, and then connect just with the family or people around it if you've come late to the situation, and and connecting with people in the community as well. So it's those are ongoing trainings that happen to make sure that people aren't escalating the situation as well.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Thank you all for being so generous with your time this morning. Thank you to all of our speakers and to all of our supporters who've come out as well. Once again, you need help? Please dial 833-LATINO-1. Thank you all, and God bless.
I also have to go extend my parking on my car.
Tienes 5 minutos para darle un rapidito.
Sí.